Hey, good morning everybody. It's Ben here from Twig Cycles out of Hagerstown, Maryland, and I'm here at the storefront of Twig Cycles. Behind me we have a brand new Suzuki King Quad 400 and a couple of brand new Honda Rancher models, all of which fall under a 400cc category in the ATV world, and I figured I would just kind of do a little bit of a shootout between the King Quad 400 and the Honda Rancher, show you some of the differences, what might make one model better over the other, things like that, what might suit your wants and needs, and yeah, just kind of get to know them a little bit. So let's check them out. All right, so we do really well with the Suzuki King Quad models as well as the Honda models. With the Suzuki, with the exception of their different color options and the SE packages, which get you SE paint schemes and the cooler wheels, there's really only two variations of the King Quad 400. Right up here, you'll notice it says ASI, stands for automatic shift, and the I meaning it's fuel injected, which they all are. And they also have an FSI 400. It would normally say FSI, meaning foot shift fuel injected. So there's just those two variations, King Quad 400 ASI and FSI. So this one's fully automatic, meaning we have a high range and low range, no shifter over here. The FSI would then have a 5-speed transmission, which you can shift with your foot. So in terms of just being able to hop on a machine, put it in drive and go, it does not get any simpler than a Suzuki King Quad 400. They're tough as nails, single cylinder, very quiet 400cc. Technically it's a 376 cc is the actual displacement, but they are fuel injected and they're just great machines all around. Now with Honda, you have 4 different variations, starting with the one back here then. So this is a dead base model 2-wheel drive Honda Rancher. We don't get these in very often. So where there would normally be a 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive actuator right here, there's nothing. There would normally be a display here. So the 2-wheel drive, they're again kind of keeping budget low a little bit. No display. You do have a fuel gauge, not a fuel gauge, but a fuel light, neutral indicator, reverse indicator, FI lights, things like that. But that's it. There's no hour meter or odometer on these. So 2-wheel drive Ranchers. And then you work your way up to basically the same model, only this does have 4-wheel drive. So it's as if you were to take that machine right there on the end and add 4-wheel drive to it and add a display to it. So now we do have 4-wheel drive, which we can actuate with the handle right there. And we do have a display which shows our fuel gauge, hours, odometer, speed, fuel gauge, things like that. Okay, now these are both foot shift models, okay? So the foot shift, by the way, to back up a little bit, your 2-wheel drive model is going to be coming in right around $62.50 is what they go for. So $6,250. You go up to a 4-wheel drive, your $73.50 is what they go for. So $7,350 gets you a fuel injected Rancher. Now if I go over to a King Quad 400, these models start anywhere from about $6,900 and go up to $7,650, depending on color, depending on automatic foot shift, depending on whether or not you get the special edition or not with the upgraded wheels, paint, and so on. Okay, so you're starting right around $7 grand and you go up to as high as $7,650. And quite often Suzuki rolls out some really good rebates, so you can get a smoking deal on a Suzuki King Quad 400 almost any time of the year for the most part. Honda, on the other hand, we don't see a whole lot of rebates from Honda, so oftentimes as far as like what we have going on as like promotions and stuff are from us as a dealership alone. But if you go up to a foot shift Rancher, you're at $73.50, which you could get for about the same price for $7 grand, a fully automatic King Quad 400. Still fuel injected, still a single cylinder 400, okay? Then you go up to your automatic DCT power steering model. EPS, electronic power steering, automatic DCT, dual clutch transmission. Looking right up here, we have the ability, the dual clutch allows us to either shift it using our shifter buttons or have the machine do the shifting for us. And if you follow the gear pattern up here, you can see if we have it in automatic mode, we have drive, neutral, reverse. If you have it in electronic shift mode, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, neutral, okay? This model here that you see in front of you is available only in the straight axle, which I've kind of jumped over that, but all three ranchers that you see here in front of you are straight axle variations, in addition to the Suzuki King Quad, which I'll highlight here in a minute. But this model here that you see in front of you is coming in at $8,600. So where on an automatic King Quad 400, you're up to at most $7,650 MSRP. If you want to get into a automatic Honda Rancher, and this is just simply because of the research and development involved, the engineering involved with that dual clutch transmission, you are going to pay a little bit more higher spec price, coming in at about $8,600. So $8,599 is what this machine MSRP is for. And then if you take it one step above this model here, you have an IRS, which stands for independent rear suspension. You get all the same features, a fuel injected automatic DCT power steering model, and would give you the independent suspension. So if you're looking to take the machine, using it for just as much work as you are maybe play, taking it trail riding, independent suspension is going to give you a little bit more ground clearance, a little bit more stability on that rocky terrain. That model there is going to come in at about $9,100 to get you independent suspension. So let's talk about motor on all these. We really only have two engines that we're talking about because all four Rancher models use the same engine. But your Suzuki King Quad 400 is technically bored out as a 376cc displacement. It is fuel injected. Do not let this up here fool you. This is just simply an idle switch. Being a smaller bore engine, maybe in the cold, snappier months, you might want the engine to warm up a little bit faster, so you can just bump the idle up on that. That is not a choke whatsoever. These are not carbureted. They are in fact fuel injected, just like the Ranchers are. But this model here, you're going to get an 8x12 25 tire on the front, a 10x12 25 tire on the rear. The King Quad 400 is going to give you a 4.2 gallon tank. So obviously fill tanks right up front there, right between your legs. So 4.2 gallon tank. You're about 45.1 inches in overall width. Let me push this Recon out of the way here and I'll show you. So not an overly wide machine. By the way, if you're looking to put an ATV, any one of these ATVs in the back of a truck, they will in fact fit, trust me. As someone who's owned a Honda Rancher in the past and you loaded one into the back of a 5x5 bed, yes, you're gonna have to leave the tailgate down, but if you tie it down properly, it's not a problem. But yes, any one of these ATVs will fit in the back of a truck bed. So 45.1 inches wide on the King Quad 400. 9.8 inches worth of ground clearance this machine is giving you. So good amount of ground clearance for this machine. And straight axle, as I had mentioned, although they do give you twin shocks in the rear, which is really nice. So twin shocks, really good substantial suspension on this machine. All right. Of course, you got headlight, taillight, things like that. This is going to give you low, high, neutral, reverse. You have a rear brake, front brake with another rear brake down by your foot. Cable actuated four-wheel drive, so two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive is, actually somebody had it backwards. There's four-wheel drive and there's two-wheel drive. That's how it should be right now. But very simple. That's how you'll know that it's locked in. Of course, you have a display up here letting you know your speed, fuel gauge, hours, mileage, things like that. Back up here a little bit. This machine is weighing in right about 628 pounds, so almost 630 pounds the King Quad is coming in at. And actually top speed, believe it or not, these will do, now like I say, this is like top speed wringing its neck between 50 and 55. They're actually really punchy little machines. And they can pull deer out of the woods. I know plenty of farmers that use these for just around farm property and things like that. It's putting out about 25.1 horsepower, by the way. So good, substantial ATV right there. If you're looking to stay under that 9,000, even under that 8,000 price point, the Suzuki King Quad 400 is an absolute bang for the buck. It is a very substantial, very sturdy, quality machine. That's going to give you a lot of lifetime out of it. So fuel injected. They start up in the cold, fantastic. And now the only thing I'll tell you, these do not come, there is no variation of King Quad 400 that you can purchase that'll give you power steering. These are not capable of getting power steering put on. They don't offer it from the factory, so just something to keep in mind. However, steering's pretty light on these that you can kind of whip it around a good bit. Let's focus on our Rancher models here a little bit. Like I said, we have 3 different variations. We got our 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and an automatic model, okay? So these are 420cc single-cylinder fuel-injected, liquid-cooled engines. Honda upped it probably 3 or 4 years ago. They were a 398, 399cc. Now they're up to a 420cc, so a little bit of a jump in power, putting out about 26.6 horsepower. So about 26, not too far off from the King Quad, as a matter of fact. And what you're going to get from your Rancher in terms of tire size, you have a 8x12 24 on the front and a 10x11 24 on the rear. Got a set of Maxxis tires on this, and Carlisle tires on the King Quad, by the way. All great tires. They're great from a factory standpoint. You know, shoot, my father has a Honda Rancher with the same set of tires that's been on there since 2015, and it's used on blacktop, pulling garden trailer. It's used on grass, things like that. Still same tires. Now, if you're looking for something aggressive, surely you can get something more aggressive in terms of tires for both, depending on what the use is going to be. But I will tell you, these are a great set of tires that both come on the King Quad and the Rancher, okay? 3.9 gallon fuel tank on the Rancher, so a little bit smaller than what comes on the Suzuki. So 3.9 gallon full tank, whereas the King Quad had a 4.2 gallon tank. All right. And I'm just kind of taking my time letting you guys get your eyes full a little bit. Rancher is coming in at 47 and a half inches wide, basically. So 47 and a half inches in overall width, giving you 7.1 inches worth of ground clearance. Now that's going to change from the straight axle to the independent suspension. So if you go up to the independent suspension, you're going to be 9.6 inches worth of ground clearance. So straight axle Ranchers, which is what all these 3 are, you're about 7.1 inches worth of ground clearance, 9.6 inches of ground clearance if you go up to the independent suspension. Weight is also going to change. Now, according to my findings, the Rancher is coming in about 615 pounds overall weight. That's with everything in it, which I feel is a little bit low, where the King Quad, maybe my findings on the King Quad were a touch high. I was finding 628 pounds on the King Quad, whereas Honda is posting 615 pounds on the Rancher, which is also going to change if you go up into the independent suspension. That is going to be at 686. So 686 pounds overall weight if you go up to an independent suspension Rancher. So to kind of pull these both apart a little bit, obviously you get sturdy racks on the rear and on the front. Also a nice decent front brush guard just for going through the brush and things like that. Good set of headlights up there. These have not changed drastically in the past couple of years. I think Suzuki's one of those brands that when they have something good, don't screw it up, don't mess with it. And I hope they don't change these drastically. Maybe from a look standpoint, you know, from the aesthetics department, maybe change it up a little bit, but they have a really good thing going. As you can see, they're built in the USA. Front rack capacity, as they say here, 66 pounds front capacity. If we go to the back, they tell us 132 pound rack capacity right there. So really neat. They actually give your tire pressures right there. Maximum weight, tire size, all that good stuff right there on the warning label. If I take the seat off, flip that up, you can see air cleaner, battery. This is actually storage underneath there. So if you pop those clips up, take that panel off, there is storage there as well. And of course, with this being an automatic, and we know that because it says ASI, we can also obviously look right up here. We have low, high, neutral, reverse. parking brake, because we do not have a park position on either the King Quad or the Rancher, so we do have a parking brake up here. As I mentioned, this is an idle switch. You have your headlights. If you turn your ignition switch on one more click, you have high beam, low beam right there. Start button, engine cutoff switch, obviously front brake, your throttle's right there as well. And there is also a 12-volt accessory outlet up here as well, so very useful. And we do have a little bit of a hitch right there as well, so if you want to throw the hitch ball in there, you can do that. If we scoot on down here, actually you can see what they have posted on the axle, which is really helpful. 992 pounds of overall towing capacity. So if you do put a hitch ball in here and you want to tow with it, you have almost 1,000 pounds worth of towing capacity. Really clean setup. I like these machines. They're simple, you know. They're just good, substantial ATVs. They hold up to the test. They can hold up. They can take on darn near any challenge. So if we go over to the Rancher, there again, good, sturdy rear rack, front rack from the factory. I do like that the brush guard actually comes up the whole way and integrates with the front rack. Now you do get a little bit more storage with the Rancher. So this flips up, you have some storage right there. No storage here as there would be on like a Foreman or a Rubicon, but if we come back here, we have some more storage in the back. So if we pop this open, you have some storage right there behind you, behind that taillight. I went over the 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive cable actuator on there. On this, your 4-wheel drive actuator is by your left, so you have that right there. Of course, this is fuel injected, so there's no choke on either one. There's no fuel valve you have to turn on or off on either one of these. You do have a actual headlight switch here, whereas on the Suzuki it's integrated with the ignition switch. Headlight switch, on, off, high beam, low beam, cutoff switch, start button. Throttle's right over here. Front brake, there's another rear brake down here along with your rear brake, which also acts as your parking brake. If you go by the pattern here on this red lever, if you want to put the machine in reverse, you pull, downshift is the way that works. And then if you actually push this forward as you're squeezing the brake, it locks your parking brake as well. So if we look up front here, 66 pound front rack capacity. So 66 pounds front rack capacity. On the rear, let's see if we can find it here. There again, 133 pounds worth of carrying capacity for the rear rack. And as we go down here, you can see there again, straight axle, nice clean setup. Single shock actually on the Honda. Not a bad thing. 850 pound towing capacity. So, now believe me, I know folks that put these things to the test. Darn near every farmer I know has probably overloaded their side-by-side or ATV from time to time. So, but I will point out, this is actually down compared to what Suzuki posts on the King Quad. So King Quad 400, a little bit smaller displacement, but it's only about a horsepower less than what the Rancher is, but more towing capacity. Same front and rear rack capacity, but more towing capacity out of the King Quad, according to manufacturer spec. Like I say, they're probably being conservative. They're trying to make sure they're covering their butts so that you don't overload the weight and then blame them for the thing breaking or anything like that. So that's why they put those dimensions out there. So, but really great machine. I do like that this is actually liquid cooled, whereas the Suzuki is not liquid cooled. So no coolant goes into the King Quad. I believe they're actually oil cooled. Yes, indeed. So now something I will tell you with your foot shift models, okay? The electric shift has come a long way over the years. As a family, we had a 2005 Honda Foreman that was electric shift. Loved it. Way early on, late 90s, early 2000s, Honda worked out a lot of the bugs with the electronic shift, and it's fantastic. I actually prefer, if I was buying a Honda today, you would not be able to talk me into a foot shift. I would go electric shift. Not to say anything can't go wrong. I'm not saying that. There might be people that comment out there, I've had problems with this and whatever. Everybody rides them in a different climate. Everybody has a different riding style. I know folks that have had electronic shift Ranchers and Foremans and Rubicons their entire life and have had zero issues with it because they're respectful of the machine. They're not taking it through water and mud and gunk and things like that, which, you know, that can happen with anything with electronics involved. But I will tell you, the foot shift can be a little bit of a bear when it's cold out, when it's really, really cold. Because you have a transmission fluid and then you have an engine fluid. They're not warming up the same time as what your engine is. So while your engine's sitting there warming up, transmission, you got to kick that sucker in gear and warm it up that way by driving it around a little bit. So they can be a little bit stiff when they're cold. But that's the only thing I'll say. The foot shift is just as reliable as the electric shift and vice versa. They're all fantastic machines, great transmissions on all the Hondas and the Suzukis. So yeah, basically what it comes down to, what I'm trying to get out there is you cannot go wrong with either a Honda or a Suzuki. We have the brand loyal Honda owners, that's fantastic. You know, when we sell out of Honda and usually we present the opportunity, we got some Suzukis in stock there. Well, I've only ever had Honda, I really wouldn't buy anything else but Honda. Well, that's a great, you know, philosophy, but there are other options out there, including the Suzuki. They're built here in the United States. They're tough as nails. They're fantastic, reliable machines. They're dependable just as much as what Honda is. And don't forget, Suzuki was the very first ATV, very first all-terrain vehicle, first brand to come out with an all-terrain vehicle with an ATV. So they know what they're doing. They have a fantastic product. I think they hit the price point right on the head. I think, you know, anywhere from about $6,900 to $7,600, $7,700 I think is appropriate for this type of machine, the dependability that you get out of it, a name brand quality unit. Likewise with your Hondas. Now obviously as you go up with your electronic shift, your DCT, independent suspension, you're going to pay a little bit more for the Honda, not because of the name, but because of the engineering involved with the transmission, that dual clutch transmission, you know, things like that. But they're all fantastic units. It would really just come down to, you know, driving one versus the other, see which one you like. If you're looking for something in that 7K category, $7,500 category, that's fully automatic, that the family can operate, whoever, if you have family come over and everybody wants to go for a ride on a Sunday evening or whatever it is, this is going to be the easiest, most turnkey, simple ATV to hop on. That gives you a fuel-injected motor, two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and it's a name brand quality machine built here in the United States. And there again, Honda obviously for many years has made a name for themselves in the reliability department. So very dependable units. Years ago when we really didn't have much need at home for a 500cc ATV, we went down to a Honda Rancher, and it's been fantastic just for about 1.5 acre property, pulling a garden trailer, plowing the driveway, things like that. By the way, you can indeed get plows for all 4 of these units. So a 400, and by the way, the Suzuki King Quad 400 is the smallest machine, smallest displacement ATV you can get that gives you fuel injection and four-wheel drive. If you go anything smaller than that, like a Brute Force 300 or a Honda Recon, they're all carb rated, strictly two-wheel drive. So this is as small as you can get. This is the least expensive machine that you can purchase, in addition to the foot shift Honda Rancher, that gives you a fuel-injected quality machine, you know, four-wheel drive, all that good stuff. So, but yeah, guys, just figured I would make this video and hopefully make that a little bit helpful for you as you're doing your research. You can't make a mistake either way, but I'm just saying there's lots of good options out there. Honda has 4 different Rancher models that you can pick from. Depends on what you're looking for. Depends on what the use is. You know, you can go anywhere from, I don't know, what was it, like $7,600, $69.99, all the way up to a $9,100 machine. You know, Suzuki, you make up your mind whether or not you want automatic or foot shift, and then you make your choice on color. That's about it. So, pretty cool. So that's going to wrap up my video here today, guys. Thank you so much for checking it out. And if you have any questions, give us a call. If you're local here to us, here in Hagerstown, Maryland, 200 South Edgewood Drive, or just leave your question in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.